Hello everybody, AUG here. Welcome to a quick patch review. That's right, another patch review for MechWarrior Online for patch 1.4.81 for the patch for the 23rd of August. So this patch is coming out in a couple days. What's going on? Well, a couple things are going to be happening. One of the main things I'm looking forward to is in the select mechs option here, where you can actually search for your mechs. There's now going to be an option for your favorites, so you can actually pick which mechs are your favorites and have them there in a drop. That's pretty good. Multiple drop decks for community warfare. You get 2 drop decks for invasion / defend / counterattack, and you get 1 for scouting, which is pretty good. Bunch of new decals. They've made some changes to the store here, where you can buy more than one thing at a time and change how much you want to buy of things. Crimson Strait has a completely different update to it. There's been some gameplay changes. They fixed an issue with chainfire. They fixed some issues with arm lock and centering legs. UAVs have been fixed now, where if you launch a UAV and someone else launches a UAV, you still get your rewards now. While the other person, if basically see someone pop a UAV, if you popped one right after, second player number 2 would get all the rewards. Player 1 would get nothing. Instead of both of them getting them, or each one only getting rewards associated with what each UAV did. What else? They made some changes to the mini-map and the battle grid. Basically, the map edges have basically a black gradient, so they slowly fade to black around the outside, which is good. And they've expanded the grid all the way out, which is not too bad. Well, obviously looks changes, right? Grid lines, as I said, now extend beyond the map, the gameplay area, which I don't like. There should be more of a, this here is it. Don't go outside this area. And I'm not mistaken, I think they now have a red indicator showing you how far you can go, I'm pretty sure. In conjunction with that as well, now leg indicators for enemy mechs will be in the next patch as well. Basically, they'll see the logo, but then you'll see a little extra chevron above it, whatever direction it is. It'll show you where that mech is facing, which is pretty good. All maps got a change in the shadow and the quality. Candy Network specifically, though, had some issues where some weapons you could fire through one of the bridges on one side. I didn't use that whatsoever at all once, but you could do it. Forest Colony, they fixed some issues with some shadows. Also some immersion effects when inside dropships. They fixed that. Fixed some floating trees in Forest Colony, visible walls of Forest Colony that they fixed. Fixed some issues where your feet could clip through stuff. They fixed that. And they fixed an issue where some of the bases themselves were clipping, and some buildings were clipping as well. Frozen Colony, they fixed an issue where the dropships were visible. That happened with Forest Colony when it first came out. It's happened now again in Frozen City. Grim Plexus and Grim Portico. The environment decals have been removed. They removed some stuff in July's patch, and they're now adding it back in. So they're fixing those. Hellbore Springs fixed an issue where people could get stuck on some stuff. They fixed that. HPG Manifold, they fixed some environmental stuff as well. River City, they fixed an issue in E3 where your mech could get stuck. They fixed that. Tourmaline, they fixed the same thing with some environmental stuff. Viridian Bog, some LOD improvements have been done for trees, rocks, foliage, things like that. And of course, Vitric Forge as well. Environmental stuff has been added in, finally. One thing I like is the new mechs, or some of the older mechs. So I'm actually going to go to my mech bay here to show you if I don't crash out. Been having some connection issues on my end. The Atlas, as of this patch, will have all of the faction camo. The Awesome will have all of the faction camo. The Dragon will have all faction camo. The Centurion is going to have all faction camo applied to it now as well. The Hunchback, you can now have faction camo on that. And last but not least, the Commando will then have the ability to have faction camo patterns attached to it as well. A whole bunch of fixes with mechs themselves. So the Adder got a couple changes. The Prime Invasion variant had some color adjustments. The Adder itself across the board, they fixed some issues with default camo patterns. The Arctic Cheetah, they fixed an issue where hanging cup items weren't basically attaching to the mech properly. Now and then, I don't know about some people, but I could see under sometimes, depending on what I was doing, or if you're running real fast, you could see under it or around it, and it was kind of weird. Commando, they fixed an issue with hanging items. The Direwolf as well, with the golden invasion patterns, were missing certain issues, so they've put that back on, or with the textures. The Direwolf I just mentioned. The Jaguar, they fixed an issue where the right foot kind of looked wonky if you're reviewing it from far away. The Executioner, they fixed an issue where the mech would twitch while rotating. Like the mech itself just appeared to twitch. It wouldn't affect the player, but it would just affect how it looked for a split second. The Grasshopper, they fixed an issue where the decals would shift once the mech started moving. The Hunchback 2C, and specifically the B variant, they fixed an issue where the Alarm 10s would appear indented when equipped on. Oh, they really medium Hunchback 2C. Which one is it? The B variant. Apparently, the missiles look indented. So if we go column, so that's it right now. We got missiles, right torso, left torso. LRM 10 specifically. Okay. LRM 10. Oh yeah, you can see it. They're actually they're a little further in than the 6s are. Oh, okay, that actually makes sense. It actually looks like they're inverted. They probably just inverted the colors or whatever, the way they have it set up at the back end. So that's pretty good. Jaeger mech fixed an issue where decals would shift when being moved. Jenner as well, the Jenner 2C as well. Fixed an issue where the Kentaro center torso wouldn't take damage under certain conditions. Save the Kentaro prior to the 23rd, run it, because the center torsos on the Kentaros are not getting damaged. Run a standard engine, you have to like those motherfuckers. Novas, some issue with the mech twitching. They fixed that. The Raven, they had some issues with decals as well. They fixed that. The Shadowcat, they fixed an issue where the right arm wouldn't take color if the hand actuator was applied. They fixed that. Fixed some issues with the cockpit with the Spider. The Stalker, they moved the Warhorn where the Warhorn attaches to be more visible, and they also fixed an issue where the decals as well would shift when the mech being moved. Thunderbolt, they fixed an issue with the glass cockpit tint. The tint inside the cockpit there didn't look entirely proper. Fixed an issue as well with the Urban Mech where the decals would shift when walking. The Viper, fixed an issue where the weapon quirks weren't being displayed properly when you'd hover over the weapon itself in the weapon lab. And last but not least, the Zeus. They removed some issues with some Chinese characters in the game. And hopefully they fix this. This is my problem, for the record. My internet's been acting really, really weird. But it seems like it affects MechWarrior the most. It's the weirdest thing. I think it's just because it's that more sensitive than all the others. I really don't know, to be 100% honest. So this isn't affecting them as much as it is just at my end. For some reason, it's been cutting out a lot more than it normally does. But it usually happens a couple of days before the patch, I've always noticed. But yeah, so a whole bunch of other fixes as well with the leaderboards connecting. They fixed some issues when connecting and returning from a match into the mech bay. Also back from testing grounds and Academy Bay and all that stuff. Okay, thank you very much. I am really losing connection now. I might have to go reboot my router for some reason. I'm just going to watch my... I got a little test that I do. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, so a whole bunch of fixes with the store, which I'm not too worried about. Supply keys. They've set it up now so you can see what the quote-unquote rarity and things are. Like what the odds are basically of getting it. I'm starting to think... Now, from the way it was read to me initially was... Everything gets a 1 in 8 chance of getting it. Now, what they're showing is... If I'm not mistaken, what the rarity of getting it in the actual supply crate, if I'm not mistaken. Because if this is the rarity of what it is, then it's not fair. You can't really see it, but basically it says the items the same rarity across all caches appear in example, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the thing. If they're saying now that certain items are going to be weighted more than other items, it's kind of like the there's another game that does this where there's common items, rare items, uncommon, and ultra rare, and whatever. It's basically 4 levels of stuff. It shows it, and they communicate it all to you ahead of time. But now they put it in, and now they're telling everyone, oh, hey, by the way, you don't have a 1 in 8 chance of getting 7 days premium time. Because it's ultra rare. It's like, okay, well, what are the odds? Is it still 1 in 8? Is it 1 in 16, 1 in 32, 1 in 64? Like, out of the 8, like, so for common, right? So it's got, the picture's got 7 days of premium time as ultra rare. An LRM 10 and an ER large laser is common. Uncommon is an ER PPC in a cockpit item. Rare, clan ER PPC is uncommon. And then rare is a cockpit item, an improved gyro, an XL230 engine, and a clan Ultra AC5. 2 of them. So here's my question. Is it then a 1 in 8 chance for everything still? Or is it 1 in 8, for example, for the rares? 1 in 16? Or even say common. So the LRM 10 and the ER large is 1 in 8 there. Then 1 in 16 for the uncommon. Then 1 in 32 for the rare. And then 1 in 64 for the quote-unquote ultra rare. Because if that's the case, then it kind of beats the purpose of getting it in the first place. Because we were told at least we're going to get something out of it, etc., etc. And you should have... I mean, I can understand where they're trying to play, where certain things have more rarity than others. If that's the case, then it should be the rarity of it showing up in the cache itself. That should be the first part. So it looks at the rarity and goes, well, okay, you have a 1 in blank chance of getting the following items, and a 1 in whatever chance, and a 1 in whatever chance, and slowly go through all the difference to make up the different rarities to then show up into your supply cache. And then the supply cache should then be a 1 in 8, everything's fair, and there you go. But I'll get into a rant about that later. But that is overall the patch review for patch 1.4.81. Like I said, lots of changes to Crimson Strait, which I might want to add. I will have a video of that in the next little bit, showing the GIF. Until then, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.